All right, hello everybody. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing fantastic. I'm just clapping. I think I just blasted someone's ears out there with sensitive headphones. How's it going? We're back with a different setup, another different setup, mostly because Nick is busy today and he doesn't want to do the podcast. So he's off doing whatever he wants to do. He's busy with his personal life, and I'm here doing a podcast alone, a solo podcast. Yes, we're back, just like day one, where I'm just gonna be bringing some juicy topics, some juicy goodness, some goody crumbs. I don't know. I can make up. I'm just balling here. All right, let's get started with the podcast. Well, actually, you know what? Before we even start, let's talk about my setup. So recently, I had the chance to get myself new headphones. So instead of using a microphone, like a proper microphone, I'm using Razer Kraken, which was surprisingly very cheap on Best Buy. And we'll all cover that in the episode later. But it was $64. It was fantastic, good purchase. It comes with a built-in microphone, which sounds amazing, by the way. I can tell you, it's great, and you can tell by the quality of this mic, even for gaming, for podcasting. It's easy to set up, and I love it. Sadly I can't really. If Nick got his version of headphones like mine's a USB, and I'm assuming if he gets a USB or a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, which is what most headphones have, the wired ones at least, just plugins. Then I don't know how to set up like a two-way stream into one device, but we'll figure that out later once Nick gets back on and when he has time to do another podcast. So let's talk about my coffee instead of a setup. So technically I'm just on my computer recording. It is whatever. It's whatever. I could have asked for a better setup, but it's something I got to deal with. It's the holidays, guys. We'll be back with the professional setup once the school starts and the studio's back up, and I'll start recording there at nights. But until then, I got my setup right here. I got some nice coffee with me right now. So I'm gonna try to guess on air what kind of flavor it is, and I got bag hidden behind my iPad right now, so I can read off what I got right and wrong. From this coffee flavor. All I know is the dark roast. It's holiday flavor. I just nabbed it because it was cheap, and which is what I got for the flavor. It's very bitter, even with quite a bit of sugar. It's just still bitter. So I'm gonna give it a taste. I used the pour method, so I got a nice coney filter. It wasn't a cone enough. It was still like a V shape with this little flat bit at the bottom. So I didn't get quite the concentration as I needed, but it's good enough. I don't have to, bitch about it as much. But here, let's take a sip of this beautiful babe. If you're out there, you got a beverage in your hand, let's take a sip with me. Let's go. Awful noise, but it's still bitter. It's pretty bitter. Let me take another sip. It's a little fruity. It's pretty earthy. But it's very fruity. If you hear some noise, excuse it. It's my mom. She's working from home. She's letting me do this from home. So God bless, Mom. Oh man, this is bitter. More bitter than I expected. I think I might need more sugar. So maybe during the break I'll get more, and maybe just reheat this coffee a little bit. Instead of drinking in a mug, I'm drinking sort of it's basically a jar that I got from my college. So it's good. It's not really for drinking. It has stuff in it as a gift. When they do like throwaways at like big rallies, when they just chuck out stuff, and they chuck the bag out at the end, and it had this jar in it, which I was like, first of all, that's really dangerous because the glass could have broken. But secondly, it just had a lot of stuff in it, and I hope I cleaned it up. I've been using it for years, so I think the danger's over. But I'm gonna take a quick another sip, and then we'll start the podcast because it's been going for long. Oh, and another thing. Let me take a sip. It's good, but a little bitter. I need to really add some more sugar. I'm gonna have some gag reflexes from this. Oof. All right, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So all the audio I'll be doing in this podcast is post. I've never done that ever, but first time for everything. So I think the audio, the chill music in this podcast be more planned out, and I'll do my best, and I'll try to jazz it up. I usually do just a chill radio listen and we just slap it on, but this time I'm gonna have a little bit more structuring. So I'll do that kind of audio in post. I have some chill music playing right now, which is great. It's keeping my ears busy. But oh man, had to do burp. So I just had lunch and I had this like a huge bowl of chicken, which is what's probably just burping out. My GERD's acting up again. But all right, let's get started. We got a big list of stuff we got to talk about. All right, let's start with top of what happened last week. So I don't know if you're an H3 fan. I'm an H3 fan. Let's talk about a little tea. Let's talk about some drama that happened over YouTube. I'm sure there's a bajillion loads of drama. This is just one I tend to focus on because H3 is something I've been following for years. I'm a big H3 simp. They're fantastic. Even I've been watching them since they were recording in Israel. I think the first video I ever watched was, I don't remember it too well, but it's a video right after I think the Ethan posted with the green screen and him dancing and with the H3 song. Quickly play it here, H3 song. Boom, there it is. You just heard it. Still going. There you go. I'll cut it off here, but I can do that. I love doing audio in post because now I can do that stuff. All right, so yeah, that's the song, the H3 song, which I think a lot of people heard. I mean, it's a very famous channel. If you haven't heard it, go check them out. H3 Productions or aka H3 Podcast. They're great. Anywho, they have a podcast called Frenemies, where it's Trisha Paytas, and who's I think a beauty person, but she does like an OnlyFans kind of situation. And they were I think Ethan at one point had negatively he just reviewed her photos of Instagram photos versus reality kind of situation, and it kind of had a little bit of drama in there. They had a little back and forth, and then she got on their main podcast, the actual podcast. This is like pre-COVID, and then they had a rumble there, and then now I think they got on the good terms this year, and they started a show called Frenemies, the show where they're trying to be friends, but they're enemies. You get the gist. But they seem to have a good chemistry. The show went on for quite a lot of episodes. Let's check how many episodes. But let's do. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna hear me. Type it. I got quick links. Quick links. HG podcast. There it is. I listen to them quite often, so I got a huge list of quick links that I go through, and they're in one of my quick links. So let's see. They have 13 episodes. Quite a lot. 13 is quite a lot. Lovely. My favorite number, 13. People say it's unlucky. I love it. So they had 13 episodes. It's been very, very famous. People love it. People love watching it. It has over 1 million views. Great. Awesome. It gets more views than their normal podcast now, which is you can see how well liked it is by their community. So it's great. But what happened is recently, the last week, I think some feathers were ruffled. And this hasn't been the first time they had a fight, but this was the worst end of a fight. And the first time they had a fight, she was like, she got upset, she said some words, she left. Understood. Nothing too major happened. They just had a quickie fight, like a quick bicker back and forth. And then she got a little too upset. She blocked out. That's fine. They had it made up off camera. And they got back on. That was, let's see what episode that was. It was actually very early on, so it wasn't it was still new podcast, but wasn't. It was episode 5. So they had quite a lot of episodes between the first and the second fight. It was major. I think, and then if you've been really taking up Twitter and watching internet and surfing a lot, I should say, surfing the web. You come across the whole Ethan and Hila and their drama with James Charles. How James Charles seems to ripped off Teddy Fresh. Well, he said he hasn't, but it's clear by the designs. If you haven't, check it out. I think it's like you can see what's happened. Oh man, but if you surf in the net, you can see how Ethan dressed up as James Charles in one of the episodes, and then they dressed up as each other, where Trisha dressed up as Ethan, and then Ethan dressed up as Trisha. You know, they did like a role reversal. It's great. They had this good chemistry. I loved it. Here's what happened. So apparently, for whatever reason, Trisha thinks that Hila, who is Ethan's wife for a long time now, has something. She thinks that Hila hates her and whatnot, and there's an issue with Hila that she hasn't mentioned to Trisha herself, but she's been talking to Ethan about it, and Trisha talks about this thing almost every episode. She always brings up like, I know Hila hates me and whatnot, and then and she is making these supposed comments that she thinks is a joke, but she says it's like a joke. Like, I'm not gonna invite Moses, who is Hila's brother, she's dating at this moment, not gonna invite her parents to the wedding and whatnot. This whole bizarre comments, stuff like that, just banter, banter on the screen. And apparently it's been causing some ruffle of feathers in their family. I'm seeing a lot of ums. I get it. I apologize. It happens. I got a minute to think. I just say and that's been ruffling a lot of feathers in Hila's family. Her parents are getting upset and stuff like that. There's not that much detail. Of course, this is a private issue, I should mention. They just talked about it on screen because they're very honest people. They have been for a long time, so God bless them. Because if I was ever to talk about my personal issues on said podcast, which you're listening to right now, I'd be a little bit more upset. I'd be a little bit like on edge, and you can see the uncomfortability in my voice and stuff like that. But they're very good at it. They've been doing it for a long time, so they're growing a kind of comfortability around it. So that's great. That's a little bit positive. And so Ethan mentions to Hila that you should stop talking about Hila as if she, like on the podcast like that, like that she shouldn't mention. She should just stop saying that Hila hates her, like Hila hates Trisha, because it's not true. And Ethan says that they love, Ethan and Hila both say that they love the frenemies. It's fantastic, and which gets Trisha a little bit upset. Well, actually, quite frantically, very upset. And she kind of has a major episode on frenemies, which is, it's heartbreaking. You can see someone having, I think it's a borderline personality disorder. That's what she has, and she had an episode of that. And I personally, I feel like she said a lot of things that just was bottled down, and she wanted to say for a long time, And by the way, this is the podcast that they did it out of order. So they usually do a podcast. They usually have an episode out on Mondays, but they did it somewhere on Wednesday, I think. And I think she was upset about that because it was a not really planned episode, and then again, they were just throwing her schedule off and all stuff like that. So that's enough defending Trisha. I feel like she was upset. I get it, but the drama was that Trisha's point was that if Hila has something, she should say it to her, and she shouldn't just have Ethan speak for her, or Hila should have contacted her privately instead of doing it out on the podcast. You know what I mean? And I get it. It's perfectly fair statement. Just perfectly fair expectations. If there's an issue, you should talk it out privately, which Hila and Ethan both address, and they say we agree. They should have done it privately, but what I don't agree with is spiraling out of control. If you think you're really upset and everyone's against you, and you're having a big episode, you're having a breakdown, you just need a minute, take that minute, okay? Do not spiral, because it's just gonna end up bad, bad, bad. It's just red letters blazing out. There's some police tape. You don't want to cross that line. But I guess she didn't learn from her mistakes, so she crossed that line, like, very out loud. She started saying some really harsh things towards Ethan and Hila, and mostly Hila. And she started blaming Hila for ruining the podcast, ruining the mood. And Ethan, being Ethan, he didn't know how to deal with the situation. He did the best he can, and I understand. It's hard to just have your co-host have an episode and then deal with that episode live on a podcast. And it was just troublesome. So he was trying to keep the ball rolling. He was trying to stop talking about it, trying to move on. But you know how it is. Once an awkward situation gets created, you can't really just move on from it. You have to kind of address it, keep talking about it. You can't really just hop the fence, and that fence was pretty large. So she gets very upset. She starts crying, and this is the point where Moses has gone out to get pizzas, because they talked about getting so Pizza Hut came out with these triple treats, which Ethan has so frankly mentioned, triple threat. And it's like 2 pizzas and some like dessert at the bottom, so it's like breadsticks and like pastries and stuff like that. So Moses has gone out to get that. He's the current boyfriend of Trisha, who I think really should have been there just to handle the situation, just to easing it up. But he's out. He's not at home. And he comes in later, and situation's just like, it's blazing. This fire. It's like, as Ethan mentioned in the podcast, it's like the meme where Daniel Glover walks into the room with the whole house on fire with the pizzas in his hand. It's really like that meme. So that's basically the general gist of what happened. She gets really upset while Ethan's telling Moses what happened. She starts crying. She gets she sees the worst in the plot of the podcast. She storms out. She's quit. It's done. She says she's quit. It's done. It has happened in the past, but this time I think it seems for real. I mean, we'll know for sure in a couple of days if they really release one, but it's supposed to be already out today, and they haven't released anything. So I think it's safe to say, the podcast's been done with. It's over. I don't think they're gonna really release another one for a while. So or release another, I should say, Frenemies for forever, maybe even. So I hope to God they make up. This is a really crappy situation, but if you're listening out there, Trisha, I have respect for you. I respect for Ethan. You guys have great chemistry. I understand that we all have fights. We all have great times, and we all fights, and we all say harsh things. We have our opinions, but it's good to see. It's good to see situation from a different point of view. It's good to analyze and review all the variables. It's good to be respectful to all the parties and talk about the issue instead of just leaving it at put and just leaving it in the dust. But then again, I could be wrong. Then again, maybe giving people some time to deal with the issue on their own could be a good situation. So all I want to say is, if either of you guys are listening to this, take your time, okay? We as a community understand. Well, I don't speak for the community, but I, as a member of community, understand that this is a big issue. Deal with it privately. Do it as how you wish. If you don't want to tell us about it, don't tell us about it. We don't need to, really go deeply into it. This is your issue. Figure it out. Take your time as best you address. And this is my message to the community. I mean, I was on Twitter after the podcast gone out, and my God, I mean, there's so many people just blazing, addressing the issue, just saying their opinions, but they just straight up attacking people. Like, they're mentioning Trisha, mentioning Ethan. They're just attacking, boom, boom, like, you suck, you're horrible, saying horrible languages, harsh words thrown out there. It's like, I was like, this is what I don't want to see. This is why Twitter's toxic. First of all, is because people don't really take a moment to see what has happened. They just see it, they simp for someone, they like someone, they're like, okay, screw you, this other person, you're dead to me. It's like, I get it. Jesus, you don't have to be so out and about and harsh about it. You just take a minute and address the issue in your own manner. Just speak your opinion, but do it in a respectful manner. You don't have to start like lashing out harsh words, start using capital letters, but you get you're upset, but at least you can do it in a harshful manner. At least you can, say it with some dignity. You don't just have to be a belligerent animal and just start bashing the dead animal that's already just been roughed up and, dead. Oh man, it's not a good analogy, is it? But you know what I'm trying to say. Don't just beat over someone who's already been gone through a harsh day. Try to be respectful. Try to see things from their point of view. I get that there's like a lot of harsh language that was used, but it wasn't used towards you. It was used towards someone you like. You can be upset, sure, but you don't have to just right out attack the people who have said those harsh things. You can try to change their mind, change their view. Do what Martin Luther King or Gandhi did. Use words instead of use respectful words to change someone's mind instead of just straight up using harshness and using attack nature. But anywho, that's the dealio with frenemies. That's the dealio with HG Podcast. There's another response that Trisha made. I think during H3 After Dark, which is like a live show they do on YouTube. That's a live stream they do on YouTube. Right, usually on Fridays around 3 p.m. If you want to listen in, join in. I usually will be there. Excuse me, I'm just adjusting my headphones. They're really big. Like, these headphones are massive, and I should really turn on my fan because I'm sweating here a little bit. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, during the last Stage 3 After Dark, which is a live stream on YouTube, they kind of addressed the issue a little bit. They talked about it, and then Trisha seemed to have made a response to it. They said Trisha apologized and whatnot, but then she made a response video to the whole situation, which seemed anti-apology, which made it seem like she just apologized for the sake of apologizing. She didn't apologize and meant it. So I don't know what's the deal with that, but people are the way people are, and situations get dealt with the situations they get dealt with. And hey, in the future, I might be wrong. I might do the same thing, depending on how famous I get. I might deal a rough situation with the same way I said I wouldn't. And in those situations, link me this video, link me this section, clip this, show me this bit to give me some sense of how to deal with the situation. Because really, I guess I get we're all upset, but the good thing to do is apologize in the end, to understand what you have done wrong and to talk about it in a respectful manner. That's all we can do. And if the other person wants to understand, great. They don't, well, you can move on. But it's always a good, it's always a good rule in the book to understand yourself, and then just so you get some sense of contempt and relief, and what's the good word for this? Some closure from the situation. That's what I'm trying to say. Anywho, that's the whole H3 drama. That seemed like it just spiraled out of control. It was insane. I was watching the whole podcast when it got out. I was laughing my ass off. It was weird. it was finicky. It was just comedic. It was comedically. When something is like going horribly wrong, but all you can do is just laugh at it. That's how you can really deal with the situation. That's what I did. I was just laughing nonstop through the whole episode. Even though people were upset, I was just like, what is going on? What just happened? Just in shock. Anywho, that's the whole H3 drama. I'm sure there's more to it. I haven't addressed all of it. But hey, you can't always address everything. I might have missed out some details. That's for you to figure out. If you figure it out, let me know. Go to my Twitter. Which I think I still have to figure. Did I figure out my Twitter? Go to the channel. Go to there should be a Let'sRelate YouTube channel at this point. And I think I'll be uploading all these podcasts at some point. Hopefully, I don't get DMCA'd because we're using some chill music in the background. Yeah, and hopefully they're up there. By the way, if you are listening, said music creator who I'm playing the music for, don't be disrespected. These are your songs. I'm not trying to take any of it. We're just using it for the sake of background music. And here, I'm gonna give a shout out to not every person I listen to, but I'm gonna give a shout out to Chilled Cow, who has made a good playlist. If you want to listen to said playlist, go to Chilled Cow on Spotify or on YouTube. He's usually known as the guy, with the whole meme with the girl studying with the Italian window, whatever, and she's always just with the headphones on. The animated, the whole meme that happened. I don't know about it too much, but look up Chilled Cow. There you go. All the songs are from the creators and playlists made by Chilled Cow. Compliment to Chilled Cow for making said playlists. Thank you. Oh man. Whew. I think I'll use set playlist too in the what am I trying to say, in the post music production thingy. I'm done. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna keep blabbering on, getting frustrated, and just won't complete what I'm trying to say. Anywho, let's move on. Let's talk about what's next on our agenda. Yes, I got a list. I'm making a list. It's a little more structured podcast now because I realized that we can't. I'm just adjusting my headphones. I can't just talk about anything and everything without knowing the structure of the podcast. And I think I'll try to make the Monday podcast a little more structured, because I just want to cover what's going on, what's been happening in the past week. And I want to give you guys all the news and what's just been happening in the game realm, and we can talk about politics and other crap that nicks into Thursdays. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a 2-week podcast now, starting this week. 2 episode a week. Yes, Tuesdays, Thursdays, blam blam. Thank you, ma'am. Bazinga. Yeah, it's a 2-week podcast now. So chime in, listen in. We'll be covering gaming news. We'll be covering different stuff. Yeah. So next on the agenda, Last of Us 2 wins Game of the Year awards. Well done, Last of Us 2. I mean, woo! That is fantastic. I played it. I just recently played it. I completed a playthrough. I passed my school, so my college stopped December 4th, and I got the game. It was on sale, Thanksgiving, I think, and I got the game right away. I was like, I want it. Had it downloaded, didn't touch it. As soon as the break happened, excuse me, there's a bit of strand. There's a bit of string on my lip. You know when your lip gets dry, and there's like a bit of strand that just gets hooked on your dead like lip tissue, and it just pulls on it a little bit. That's what's happening. It's just like it's just the corner of my lips, but that's what was happening. All right, so I got it Thanksgiving. Had it on my PlayStation, downloaded on my main screen. Didn't touch it till the school ended. School ended. Started the game. Was blown away. I mean, that game is fantastic. By the way, I have a PS Pro. For whatever reason, she just won't handle a lot of things. She'll start. She has crashed a lot. So I think I can. GTA is fine. Right now I have Red Dead plays fine. All the smaller games, of course, are fine, like Fall Guys, Fallout 4. They're fine. The one it starts to crash on is Ghost of Tsushima. For whatever reason, I don't really can't handle. I think what I want to do is start to overclock it a little bit, because there is an option in PlayStation. If you don't know, there is a boost mode in settings. So if you go to the system, there's a system tab in settings, and there's usually a boost mode in there. So you can boost the output. It just gets a lot noisier. The fan starts kicking in because it's going to start overheating. And mine, so I have a pull-out drawer in my desk. So where I'm sitting right now, I have this drawer. I don't know if you heard it, but it's like a drawer that pulls out. Doesn't pull out all the way. It pulls out a little bit, and my PlayStation kind of chuckled in there. It's stuck in that little drawer, and what it does is it just spews hot air in the back, and it goes wrapped under. It goes wrapped. Basically it just heats up my legs, and the issue is I wear these really massive slippers, like woolly slippers. Thanks to my mom, she got them for me on sale on Thanksgiving. They're already ruined, by the way. I got terrible feet. It starts smelling. I have to use powder to keep it like a little bit sanitary. I'm pretty sure they're outdoors and you have to use like socks with it just so you don't like stink them out. But I already stunk them out. The fabric's been ruined by my feet sweat. It's gross, so they're ruined. But I think the heat doesn't help either. I think the heating from the PS4 is just making it even worse. So that's my issue. I think that's why it just kind of gets overheated a lot. And I think that's starting to get at it. I don't have any more desk space. Yeah, I'm in a very small room in my house, in my home, so I don't have really desk space to put it. I have my laptop that always stays shut, and I have an HDMI going into my main big TV that I look at. It's huge, by the way. It's not that big, but it's bigger than a monitor. It's like 17-inch screen. It's huge. It's kind of massive. So you get the idea of how bigger than a monitor it is. A lot bigger than I think it is, but oh man. It's just I have this like desk just wrapped up in wires. I have my charging cable for my phone is wrapped in circles because I don't have enough desk space to kind of stretch it out all the way. So my phone just charges on it goes on top of my laptop, and then I plug the wire in. It's just in the loops, and then I have one loop for my watch charger because I have a Samsung like just a basic watch. But it's an electrical watch, it's like a digital watch. Anywho, that's there. It's all messy. It's weird. I'm adjusting my headphones. You might hear some noise. And right now it's filled with. There's a pen on the table and there's a little field notebook on the table because I've been taking notes for stuff. There you go. That's a lot to talk about in a short period. But that's my desk. It's filled up with a lot. There's a thermometer on here because I like to, if I feel a little warm, then I like to take my temperature just because sometimes I outgo and I go out for hours at a time. I don't go out that often. I'm an indoorsy person, but whenever I do go out, I go out for hours and I'm just around people. Recently I went to Market Basket, which is like a Massachusetts kind of a northern up thing, like a grocery store basically. And there was this person like in the parking lot, just without a mask, walking towards the grocery store, coughing, and I kind of walked by him, and I was just like, as soon as I saw him, I just kind of bolted the other way. I don't care if it's disrespectful. If you're coughing without a mask, I don't give a shit. Okay, deal with it. Put a mask on. He had a mask in his hand. He could have just put it on in his car. That's what I do. So that's a sensible thing to do, but apparently most people don't. I'm gonna take a sip of this coffee. Oh man, a little bit better. I think I could have made this coffee a little bit better. I think just the coffee itself is way too big, so I think I need to take the time to grind it down. I'll have to do it with a hand because I don't have a electric grinder for the coffee, like a mixer kind of situation. They make special ones for coffee, so. But I'll have to eventually. Eventually, what's gonna happen is once we get this show rolling, we're gonna have a proper like a coffee outpost in like a mini kitchen area in the studio, and we're just gonna make coffee there and then start the podcast. But until then, we're gonna have to deal with it. I guess I'm gonna have to deal with it with just crappy coffee. I think my method just needs to get better. I need to practice more. That one class quite didn't teach me as well. The fine etiquettes of coffee. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to episode 2. Or I think it was episode 3. Episode 3, yes, episode 3, where I talked about how I took a coffee class. It was fantastic. It was just a short one in college, and yeah, it was just something to take. It was fun. It was just the weekend course, and I just did it out of fun. Anywho, what are we talking about? What a tangent to go on. Last of Us. Yes, give me the word. I started playing Last of Us, and apparently it runs fine. even for my console standards, as I talked about, it runs great. Like the lighting, the dynamic lighting, the sounds, the dynamic sound that the game offers, all the different play styles you can do. So you can basically just just go loud shooting style, like Vin Diesel and whatnot. You know, just start popping heads and taking lives if you want to. But then there is more subtle, more sneaky stealth style that you have to be more careful for, which is what I do, just because it reserves ammo and it saves on a lot of things you want to use. It's just a more conserved playstyle, and I like it. It's great. It's fantastic. Oh man, but what a game that was! Just emotional roller coaster. You didn't. I mean, your characters from if you love Last of Us 1, the characters were taken on a big roller coaster. There was new characters involved, which I think weren't really introduced that well. Like I'm not gonna spoil too much, but there is this character, Jesse, just comes out of nowhere. And he's your best buddy, and you see him for maybe like 10% of the game. You maybe see him like 2% of the game. But that's it. Like, you don't really get to interact with that character that much, and you're supposed to somehow form feelings with that character. Like, not like romantic feelings, but like friendship feelings. Like, you're supposed to just be like, oh my god, I care about him, and he's like really cool. No, that's not how it works, Naughty Dog. If you want to form a general, feelings for a character and say like, oh my god, I really care for this person, I hope he doesn't die, you need to give the character more time to bond with the main character you're playing as. But it just didn't happen. There was a time where we played as the main character. I'm not gonna say names because I don't want to spoil too much. And they just interact with there's like a little area where you play you play with Jesse as like just like how did in the first game where Ellie used to just hide around and Joel used to kind of do the most things, where we played as Joel. It's just like that, but they're just being more helpful this time. So if you're trying to sneak kill someone and there's someone else needs to be taken out, you can kind of take the first guy out and they'll just kind of run around and just take the second guy out before someone notices, stuff like that, and they'll help you out. Not in the most helpful cases, but they help out a little bit. Anywho, I think they didn't introduce that character too well to me, and I just didn't feel much when and this is spoiler warning, by the way, so if you haven't played Last of Us, spoilers ahead. Do not skip past. Skip to that section. That section, I'm just going to say right now. Okay, good. Post audio is great, because I know I can do stuff like that. So, skip to that section if you don't want to get spoiled. And I'll talk more about why I think the Last of Us deserved to win. But this is why I think it kind of lost me a little bit. So, at some point in the game, Jesse, the character, dies. Bloop, he's dead. And they're supposed to make that moment like, oh my god, it's like, it's a big deal, he's just died. And he's just like, but even then, the character Jesse wasn't really that well, like, I just didn't feel like he was just, I don't know, he was rushed. That character's whole line was, I think he had so much potential. Like Jesse and Ellie and the character Dina, if you didn't know, had such more, like, could have had more of a chemistry to work with, but just didn't happen. They just rushed the whole character, and they rushed his death, and that was it. It was over. Damn. Done. Nothing else. I was like, what? Come on. You have to give me a little bit more. You can't just hint at chemistry between the characters, kind of talk about it like in a historical sense, and just not, like, they talk about in the game, like, remember that time by the fire where I sung for you, and remember Jesse was, it's like, yeah, I want to play that part, I just don't want, like, maybe show it in a flashback or something, but don't just talk about it and not, like, have us experience that bit, because I'm pretty sure that experiencing that bit would have made the character more, you know, important to us and more important to the players. But apparently it was just full on rush. It was just like, bam, he's dead, move on. It's like, I get it, they wanted to create that adrenaline rush and that speedy effect, but I feel like it would have been more of a shock and adrenaline bit, but if they just had created more of that chemistry. Damn. Also, I think I'm adjusting my headphones, excuse me. I think some of the game mechanics are a little bit finicky, like, so I don't know if I want to talk about it because it's a very, excuse me, I'm burping. I don't know, it's a very important mechanics of the game, but sure, screw it, I'll talk about it. This is the spoiler section after all, so I'll talk about it. There is a whole mechanics in the game where you can kind of crawl in the game, in the, like, just the whole crawling section. You can, so there's tall grass and there's short grass. And if you don't want to be seen, you can kind of crouch in the tall grass, but what you can do is you can crawl, you can go full prone, and you can hide from stuff. And for whatever reason, I think the game, just for my sake, for my console, probably just my console, bugs out. And even if when I'm prone and I'm crawling, the game does this thing where it plays a noise when someone's seeing you, right? And even sometimes I'm even in the tall grass and the character just spot me, and I'm like, what's going on? I stopped moving, I've stopped all motion. They're far away, by the way. They're like proper far away. I am fully covered in grass. Like, there's grass proper around me, there's ferns, and I'm fully submerged. I can't even see my character. But for whatever reason, they're like, oh, there it is. There's that person. It's like, well, what just happened? What? How did that person see me? And I get so confused. But that I'll give them a little latency on, because I have seen some gameplay of it, and it doesn't seem like it seems to be a problem with everyone. I think it's just a problem with me. So maybe I just need to reinstall the game and it'll be fine. But for my first playthrough, that seemed to be a constant issue where I was just hiding in tall grass, or, you know, this really heavily natured area where the nature life is overgrown, and I can't even see my character, but for some reason the AIs, they just spot me out, and I don't know, just seem a little bit weird. Also, the second thing that I think it's a bit bizarre, that maybe just my issue, is I'm playing the game on hard right now, and for whatever reason, I have like all the abilities maxed out. I think there's a chapter in the game what's called Seattle Day 3, where I've maxed out my listening mode. So you in the game you can listen. You basically press a button and you're like a bat. You can hear, like, it'll show the outline of a person in white and everything goes black and no air type thing, and you can see the person through the walls if they're making noise, right? And moderate, easy, and whatever, if you can see the great, awesome. Hard, for whatever reason, like, you can't see the outline at all. Like, even when they're moving, and they need to be very close range with you for you to even notice them, which seems super bizarre to me, because there's two more game modes past hard. There's survival, and then there's grounded. And I understand if you're not able to do the whole, like, listening mode and grounded and in survival, you can't see the outlines until they're really close. But I feel like hard should have been a little bit more lenient with that, you know, even especially when I'm like fully upgraded a whole section of the game, like there's these survival guides you can get in the game, and they basically let you upgrade someone's their skills, and you have to find a certain amount of pills in the game. So you can take the pills, like 50 pills, and I don't know how, the character just downs like 50 pills and they just somehow gain that skill. So I've fully upgraded my listening, and for whatever reason it still continues to have these problems. But enough about that. Enough about that. Let's talk about why. Let's talk about why Last of Us 2 has won the Game of the Year award, which I think is fantastic. I think the game offers so many wide variety of ways you can play the game, right? Even though it's a linear path towards where we want to go, it still makes the game feel like it's dynamic, it's open world. It makes it feel like you can do what you feel like to kind of choose the outcome of how you want to, basically end up a fight. Let me start that over again. I just kind of mumbled. I think the game makes you gives you a feeling of control over fights and give you control over how certain outcomes of these situations be. You know what I mean? So let's just say if you're in a massive fight, big area, like lots of people, you're hiding, you're prone in grass, and I feel like the game gives you an option to just kind of go full blazing, or kind of sneakily take them out, or do what I do, which is throw a bottle, kind of put like a trap, throw a bottle, and then basically have people draw towards the trap and then blow it up, kind of get most for your bang for your buck. Or throw a Molotov, whatever, to group kill people. Seems great way to kind of have more dynamic play styles in the game. Fantastic. Picture mode this time, great. So many different options, so many ways you can make just basically even like a puddle in the game looks so beautiful, right? I have these. I'm a person who likes to take pictures in the game. So if you visit my gallery in PlayStation, you can see like a gazillion different photos from these games that have photo mode, like Red Dead 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or Second Son, right? I have tons of photos. I have gigabytes of photos, and I love taking photos in the game because it makes me feel like I can make a already presented scene more beautiful in my way, in how I see fit, and the game presents you with so many different ways you can play change the game, And by the way, you can after you complete the game, which I have, there is these points you get where you can unlock all these different filters. So you can, let's just say if you're restarting a gameplay, you can basically put on like a warm filter, and it'll play the game with the warm filter on. So it'll load the game with the warm filter. You can even pixelate the game. You can edit the audio, so you can play the game with 8-bit audio or 4-bit audio. You can play the game with distorted audio. There's so many different visual filters, so many different audio filters. There's so many different cheats. So if you're like really fed up with the game, you're doing what you want to do, and I'll disable achievements, of course. You can just enable infinite ammo, infinite resources, infinite whatever, to just basically play the game however you want to play, and it just makes the game so much more enjoyable in a sense. And I feel like I can play Last of Us 2 20 more times and still feel like I haven't really experienced everything in the game, just because there's so many things to experience widely. You know what I mean? And I think what's gonna make the game even better is, I think Naughty Dog are still working on the. So in Last of Us 1, there was a multiplayer section. They had a full working multiplayer for Last of Us 1, which hasn't really come out for Last of Us 2, because they didn't want to release that with the game, because they just felt like there was already so much with the game that comes through, and I fully agree with them. Last of Us 2 offers so much beautiful things, so much variety of different play styles, that I don't even think if there was multiplayer, not a lot of people would even touch multiplayer till they experienced the game fully. And I think they've done a great job at kind of restricting that, and I think they're developing it right now, and they're gonna release it some point in 2021. And I fully agree with them. props to Naughty Dog for planning this out, because this has been a fantastic journey of Last of Us, and it's just great. It's a great way to put the game to rest, and I think they can even do more Last of Us series, but it doesn't necessarily has to be connected to Ellie and Joel, and those are main characters from Last of Us 1 and now 2. They can do a completely separate story that they've hinted in Last of Us 1 or 2, and they can just make a completely different separate line and make it even beautiful. But I think the director who makes the game, Nate, what's his name? How am I being so disrespectful? Let me just look it up. I'm so sorry. Neil Druckmann. I just remembered as I looked it up. Neil Druckmann. Oh man, Neil Druckmann. I think is the director with Anthony Newman. I think. Okay, I have to look this up now. I have to look this up because I don't remember the writers. I think one of the writers is Neil Druckmann, and who's the second one? Who's the second writer? It's Haley Gross. Haley Gross. Excuse me if I've said your name, mispronounced your name, but these are the directors and writers. There's an additional director of the game called Kurtz Margnew. Sorry for mispronunciation, Kurt. I don't mean any disrespect. There is different designers, artists, writers. You know, there's so many people involved in this game. Of course, the composer of the game stays Gustavo Santos. Why do I not know how to pronounce his name? Sentaulala. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Look it up. I'm just gonna kind of make it short. Gustavo San. I'm so sorry. I love your music. But I cannot say your name. You make fantastic sounds, not just for Last of Us. You have made multiple movies. They have I think they're Spanish, Portuguese. I think they're Mexican movies, something like that. But they have good soundtrack, and I've listened to the soundtrack he's been making. I forget what he's been. I think he's made a soundtrack for a movie called. Is it On the Road? On the Road. It was like the movie before Last of Us, the first one. And I know he's done the soundtrack for Making a Murderer, it's a famous. You heard of Making a Murderer? It's the documentary on Netflix for who's the guy? Who's the guy who was involved? Stephen Avery, I think. Yeah, Stephen Avery. Very famous. Check it out. I think he's even done the soundtrack for Into the Wild. I need citations for all of this, by the way. Let me citation that. Into the Wild. Gustavo San. He has a song featured. He hasn't done music by it, but he has one of the songs in the movie that's featured by Gustavo. So check it out. He's a great musician. Props to him for making Last of Us 1 and 2 soundtrack. They both sound fantastic. And man, what a game. What a unique game it is. If you haven't played it, if you want to play it yourself, go for it. If you're waiting for that money, wait for that money. I strongly suggest do not watch a playthrough for it. Just fully experience the game first yourself and play it. But if you feel like you wanna, just play the game after you watch the playthrough, then do so. I watched the playthrough after I played the game just to experience how other people have played it, and I think I've missed so much than what the game offers. And which is why I'm doing a second playthrough to fully experience what the game is, has to offer to a player. And I'm doing everything I can to just experience everything. But strongly suggest everyone who wants to play this game to play it before watching a playthrough, just because it adds so much to the game experience. Anyway, enough about Last of Us. I think I can go all day talking about this game. Well, a couple hours before I get tired. My throat hurts. So here's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break, and let's roll the ad. Let's roll the ad, and we'll talk about everything else on the list, because there's so much more I want to cover, and we'll make this a 2-hour podcast because I don't have enough time to cover everything that I've written down, and I want to cover everything because there's even more topics that I can talk about this coming Thursday. So let's take a break. I'll be back. I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna reheat this coffee and put more sugar in it, and hope to God it tastes better. All right, everyone. I'll be back. Listen in to our sponsor for today's podcast. All right, everybody. I'm back. I am back. I just put sugar in my coffee. Someone was at the door, so I had to go answer. I got a big old cup of water because I realized that after talking for such a long time, my throat hurts without any liquid intake. So I brought some our human favorite liquid, actually Earth favorite liquid, water. I don't know why I said it like that. Oh man. All right, let's begin with what's next on the list, because we talked about Last of Us and talked a lot about Last of Us. All right, next big thing on our title, Cyberpunk 2077. What a game. It's a big hit. They did it, everyone. They have made a great game. It's fantastic. It's awesome. It's looking great. It's feeling great. I haven't played it. I watched Twitch streams. Just because I don't want to wait to experience the game. It's just like GTA. When I first came out, I just watched it, and I didn't watch any of the story streams. I think if you really want to watch story streams, go check out PewDiePie's, or there's a couple of streamers and people who have been playing it lately. But PewDiePie's just been on my feed live and stuff like that, just while playing Cyberpunk 2077. So check it out. It's great. It's fantastic. If you don't want to check it out, if you want to experience the game, do that. Whatever you feel right. Over 1 million copies sold on release. Well done. I'm just going to do a little clap session because I don't want to blow out the mic. Can you hear it? Hope you can hear it. Sounds like completely yes, doesn't it? Ooh. Now what's the next? What's been going on with 2077 is they've been fixing bugs. Seems like every game when it comes out of release has bugs, which is fine. That's something that I can just kind of give it a leeway with. They've been fixing it pretty good. They've been releasing a little bit of updates here and there just to fix up the game, which is great. They've been warning streamers to not play music from the game live on Twitch or on YouTube, or put the game music on even on YouTube after recordings, because they're worried about DMCA strikes, which is copyright strikes, because none of the music has been copyrighted, of course. Well, it's copyrighted to the game, not by the people who record it, which is why they've been warning the streamers to be careful about playing any sort of music on their live streams or on YouTube recordings and live streams on YouTube and whatnot. So if you're a live streamer watching, be careful of that. And what's been a recent issue with 2077 is that Cyberpunk is that they've been telling everyone who's been playing the game to be careful, to be really basically be careful of seizure triggers, because the game is, of course, has a lot of colors flipping through it fast, and they forgot to mention any seizure warnings in the actual game, so they've been addressing it quickly. I don't know if it has been addressed in the game. I could be really wrong, so citations needed on that. If you have Cyberpunk, great. They are released by Project CD Red. Project, like PROJKET, not CET, KET, Project CD Red. And they've been addressing seizure trigger warnings across all media, just to say, hey, if you're playing this game, be careful. This game can induce seizures, so play at your own risk. And hopefully they'll release some more seizure preventative modes in the future to just have people who are more seizure inducive to still play the game and enjoy it at their own pace. So hope they're working on that. Hope they release it at some point, and hope it's out so the game is going to be playable by everyone. Great job and congratulations to Project CD Red for a great release of the game. Well done. 8 years well spent for delaying and releasing game. I think recently or last year the delays has just become a big meme. So congrats to Project CD Red for recovering from those memes and releasing such a successful game. Well done. It's fantastic. For whatever reason, the genitalia editing on the on the game wasn't quite as successful. I think it was more disappointing to some people than they've thought. I wonder why. But check that out if you're really interested in that. You can see how people reacted to that kind of things. A lot of, oh my god, this kind of sucks. Oh man. All right. Let's talk about Fall Guys, my next big game, which I've been playing constantly. I love Season 2. Season 2 has been great. It's more medieval themed. It's knights, Vikings, stuff like that. There's been Jaspers. There's been, you know how medieval times were like, in the court of the king and how that kind of stuff worked. They've been releasing a lot of new skins, which is great. They've been made crowns kind of like a very easy thing to get. So if you're really into playing games, you can unlock more and more crowns very quickly and get more unique, epic, legendary skins. Excuse me, I'm burping the chicken. You can smell it. Ew. Ooh, gross. But you can buy all those legendary skins now easily without being able, even if you're not such a quite successful at the game. I think even if you get to like a level 3 or level 4, you're really easily about to get a lot of XP and kind of level up into the seasons and get more of said items, prizes, and get more of the crowns to get more skins. Let me take a quick sip of this coffee. Sweet and good. Tastes like diabetes. I think I had to put too much sugar in it. Oh dear. Next big, by the way, Fallout Season 3, before I start on the next big thing, Fallout Guys Season 3 comes out on December 15th, so if you're a big Fallout Guys player, hop on into the train, because that train is about to fly and that train is about to take off. So Fallout Guys, congrats, awesome on the success of Season 2, and I hope the Season 3 is going to be successful as well, because I am excited to play Season 3, to see what it is. I think it's the snow theme related, which I'll be, if I can be a snowman, win-win. I win, you win. I'm already supporting the game, so I'm going to double support if they let me be a snowman. Right now, if you have watched the anime, what's the anime called? I've just watched it. Jesus, let me look it up. Anime. Dead air time. Enjoy the dead air, people. I forget, what is this anime called? I'm gonna schmack myself when I find out. My Hero Academia. There it is. My Hero Academia. I legit got it before I even saw the photo. It was just a little scroll down, but My Hero Academia, where this story, it's a beautiful anime. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's where kids have these superpowers and they go to this academy, Hero Academy, to kind of, get ranked and basically become number one superhero in the world. Anywho, there's a character in that series that had it was a skin on Fall Guys. It was just the top half, not the bottom half. I don't know what happened in the bottom half, if they ever released it, but I got the top half. It was like 4 or 5 crowns, something like that. I was like, oh, Jesus, but it was. I got it. It looks fantabulous, by the way, and I have. Since I've been playing the game for so long, I have a lot of skins and a lot of colors to kind of match and relate, got a lot of designs for my characters, so it's been looking fab. I've been looking gorge. I have a little can bottom with a superhero top. I'm looking gorge, people. I've been thinking of turning that little can bottom into a frock, you know, a superhero frock. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll do a live stream on Christmas, and we'll decide on the live stream what we want to play, but we'll see how that goes. Next, amazing news for a very beloved game that's been out and has been famous and been memed on lately. Among Us. Yes, Among Us is a game. If you don't know what it is, I mean, you've been hiding under a rock. But if you don't know what it is where there's imposters. It's like mafia. It's like where there's a bunch of people. They got their own tasks they have to do, and there's one imposter whose job is to kind of pretend that he's like everyone else doing tasks, but his task is to kill people, and he can use vents and he can use different things to hide and move around the map and use skills and just to blame people and kill people and just be without getting suspected. And it's been great. It's fantastic. It's very famous. It's been very beloved by a gaming community, and now they've announced a new map. So the game is released by the people, the same people who released Henry Stickmin games. I forget what they're called. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up. Among Us is released by Innersloth, which is the same company that released the Henry Stickmin games. If you don't know what Henry Stickmin games are, Google it. Very famous, fantastic. They have this ship in Henry Stickmin's called the Top Hat Clan Carrier. It's a huge. It's a version of the Avengers flying carrier, aircraft carrier, but it's like a quadcopter ship. And it's a huge ship, and if you played that game, there's multiple Henry Stickmin games. They're all going sync. They all have a storyline, but they're in one of the games you come in many two different games, I think, or 3. You come against this clan called Top Hat Clan, which have been doing multiple things, but they're most famously known for their massive structures they built. So there was one of the games, I'm not going to say too much, but the rocket, a thieving rocket. Another one they build, they have this huge, massive Avengers type of red ship where it's like their HQ, where they commit all the crimes from, and in this, so they've been releasing. They're releasing that map, that whole Top Hat Clan ship map, on Among Us, and it's gonna be a huge map. It's massive. It's big. There's so many things you can do. The imposters gonna love it. I think the people who are doing the jobs are gonna have a tough time doing their jobs because imagine one of the jobs is gonna be in the cockpit and on the tail of the ship, and you have to travel so long to kind of complete your chores, and there's a lot of things that the imposters can do to kind of stop you from doing those tasks. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very amazing. Watch out for that. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be lovely. It comes out, I think they said it's coming out early 2021, so I'm excited for that. I'm hyped for that. I'm going to get my team ready, my crew ready, and we're going to see how that map rolls, how that map is going to play with everyone. And maybe I'll even record a session of that and put it onto the channel, onto the Absolute Chill channel. So if you're really interested, check out Absolute Chill, which is me on my gaming videos. It's on YouTube, somewhere around there. Just look up Absolute Chill. It's like my character's an astronaut with a neon ring around it, a reddish, pinkish neon ring. So look me up. It's great. Maybe I'll upload a video on there. But we'll see. That's the future stuff. enough about Among Us. I'm really excited for Among Us, but the next thing I want to talk about is what you can do to get your hands on some of the new tech that's been hitting the market. So last episode we talked about scalpers and how they've been. Let me just drink some water. So, oh man, just hurt my throat. Let me put my mic away so I don't disgust you guys. Oh man, if all these sounds make it to the post, I'll cut it out. Don't worry. I'll make sure you guys won't be hearing all the disgusting noise that come through here. But all right, so last episode we talked about scalpers was their big topic, and how they've been kind of basically mass buying all these really expensive tech items, really good, rare tech items that people want to get. So the NVIDIA 30 series of graphics cards that have been hit the market, PS5s, Xbox X, excuse me, gotta get that burp out, Xbox X's and stuff like that. So let's talk about what you can do to kind of keep up with the new generation of gaming space, because I think if you have the 20 series, you're already doing way better than most people are. If you're the 30 series, you're ahead of the game. If you have 20 series for graphics cards, you might be a little behind, and I think you won't struggle to play some of the new games that have been coming out, but I don't think you'll be able to run them on ultra settings or high settings or whatnot. You might be able to just run them on normal. And let's talk about what you can kind of do, some of the ways you can do to kind of get your hands on the new tech. So my suggestion will be, if you really want to get your hands on the new tech, and if you're, agitated about scalpers and you really can't wait, I suggest this is a really crappy way to kind of go about things, but I suggest ask around in your local Micro Center store or Best Buy store to see when they'll be restocking for a certain graphics cards. And I believe me, trust me, that I know for a fact that if you ask 5 different people, those 5 different people have different answers. So ask as many employees as you can find in a store and kind of match and compare the answers. And if there is even a hint and a chance of when the graphics cards are going to be there at that date when they restock, and make sure you get your hands on one of those new techie items. Secondly, keep an eye on the Reddit for those said items. So if you're on a PS5 or if you're wanting graphics card or Xbox X, keep an eye out on those subreddits in the news section to see if anyone's posted any restockings, anyone has kind of talked about when they're going to be restocked, because a lot of times when something restocks, a lot of people just go take a photo and say, hey guys, they've been restocked here, come and get it as quick as you can before they run out. And if you get in luck, you can go buy it as fast as possible, so keep an eye out on those. I strongly suggest if you're one of the people who wants to get a graphics card, keep an eye out on your Micro Center stores. Micro Centers they're planning to get restocked at some point in December. That's what the rumor is going around. And I have some friends who work at the Micro Center who've been thankfully telling me, I'm not going to say where they work, but they're somewhere in the US, and they've been telling me a certain date where the stores are going to get restocked. So check if you are someone who wants to get your hands on these new tech items. Check around next week or two weeks from now around your Micro Center stores. Try to visit as often as possible, usually around midday or in the mid mornings, right around 10 to 12 p.m. a.m. I should say, and see if you can get some of these items. These new GPUs that have been really rare. I mean, every time I see a photo of these new GPUs, I kind of burn. My heart just kind of shatters immediately. I mean, the energy I've spent trying to get one of these things is horrible. And I've even been scammed by one of these dodgy Newegg sellers, which I'm going to talk about, which Newegg kind of upped their policy a little bit on there. So if you don't know, Newegg has these really weird sellers that kind of combo things up. So let's just say if you want to get a Ryzen CPU, they're gonna bundle up like a power, like an 800-watt power supply with that thing. Or if you're trying to get a graphics card, they're gonna say, okay, if you're gonna get a 2070 RTX NVIDIA graphics card, you're gonna have to buy a 16 gigabyte of RAM with that in a bundle, right? So these are bundle deals, and what in the past has been happening is that if you want to return a set item that's been defective, or you just want to return set things in the past, you'll have to return the whole bundle. But what the new policy says is that if you want to return an item, which has been posed by Newegg, the companies have to label these as individual items, which means that if you want to return something and if you want to, kind of get it replaced for defective, then these items will be counted as individual items, and they will be sold as individual items even in packed bundles. So they'll label the price it's at in the bundle, saying like this price is 20% of what it was because it's in a bundle with this set item, stuff like that. So thankfully Newegg is taking some steps to kind of adjust around these dodgy sellers, because honestly what happened with my, I'm not going to talk too much about what happened with my graphics card dealio, but I basically I thought that an RTX 2070 Super was expensive because of the word super behind it, and I bought it for somewhere around $800. And basically then I learned that you can it's a $600-700, like I think it was $600 card that was being upsold because they charged me what is it, $85 for shipping, and another like $46 for whatever taxes. So I mean, honestly, these are some like scammy companies you want to watch out for. I'm not gonna say out the company that I bought the said graphics card for, but I am gonna say if you're gonna buy something from these third-party sellers, be careful, check the prices, compare the prices, be careful what you're getting, and basically don't get into the situation where I basically got, where I had to have my mother help me out, because I'm not really that smart to deal with this kind of smart, basically these sketchy kind of third-party sellers, where they're trying to show you these rules that are kind of hidden under all these major rules. So my mom's kind of good at dealing with that kind of stuff, so she helped me out with that. And basically they said that I bought this card for $808, you're gonna get it for $600 and some dollars, and I was basically losing $200 more than anticipated, and she kind of worked around that, and basically we got a little more money than it was written. So thanks to my mom. But be careful, I still went up in the loss because of that refund, so be careful about that. Make sure you're smart at buying these kind of new techie items. And big thing that I feel like you should be careful about is do not buy from scalpers. I know you want to, I know it's Christmas, I know you'll get kind of caught into a lot of these comments that say on these websites saying like, I mean, you make money so you can spend it, stuff like that, and it's Christmas, get what you want to get. Don't worry about like how much you spend, just get it because it's tough, it's really rare to come about and stuff like that. Do not fall for those comments. Do not buy from scalpers. If you buy from scalpers, the war that we're waging against scalpers we're basically losing. Right now, this is the toughest time, and we as gamer community are not only fighting against scalpers, we're fighting against these people who are saying it's okay to spend money on these these basic items that have been uppriced, basically scalped for these really outrageous prices, and falling for those. So be really careful. Do not buy from scalpers. Just wait for restocking. Trust me, if you are if you are that impatient to buy a card, then I'm sorry. I mean, you just got scammed for if you buy from a scalper. But I really think if you want to be play it smart and play it good, and if you want to really do the right thing here and save money, don't get it at Christmas. Wait till they get restocked. Wait till there's more in demand and the more have been made, and get it when they restock, and basically get it in the future when hopefully these websites will up their security, so these scalpers won't be able to use bots and stuff like that to get hands on these new graphics cards that are going to get restocked. I mean, it's a really sad situation that the gaming community is basically in right now, where we basically have to fight for items that they've just been released, and we can't even get proper information from these major sellers about how much are in stock and how many are going to be available at launch and stuff like that. I mean, we'll basically have to run upon rumors and these little hearsays from companies saying like, oh, they're going to be 40% more than what they were, so 40% more stock than last time and stuff like that. So, I mean, I get it. You want to build you want to get your hand on these new techs. You want to build these new computer rigs for Christmas, stuff like that. And I know these techs are not available, but do not fall for scalpers. Just wait. Trust me. If you have waited so long, you can wait some more, because it's not worth it. I tell you, if you buy from scalpers, sooner or later when they're available, you're gonna feel guilt. You're gonna feel shame. You're gonna feel this horrible feeling in your gut that I just wasted like this extra amount of money instead of waiting a couple more months and getting it for a cheaper price, and instead of basically using that extra amount of money for something else, instead of I just wasted all of it on a graphics card. So don't fall for scalpers. That's the main goal I'm trying to say throughout here. But let's move on from that, because I'm just gonna ramble on from here on out. Let's talk about some of the deals that's been going in the market. Razer products have been at the lowest they can be lately. So, excuse me, just taking a sip of water. I suggest check Best Buy, check Razer websites, check all the different sellers, because Razer products are on sale, mostly on Best Buy. I got these Razer Krakens for $64, and these are $100 headphones, so they're really cheap lately. This is like 30% off. I mean, that was crazy amount of money that was shortened down, so that's just a bonus, honestly. And I think if you plan to buy a gaming laptop, which is what my friend did recently, the Razer blades are more cheaper than ever. If I look up for Best Buy Razer blade, let's look it up. Best Buy Razer Blade 15s, which are these really high-end gaming laptops, which is what I use right now. I don't use a Razer blade, but I use an Asus ROG gaming laptop, which I bought back in high school. This baby's quite old, 6 years old now, I think, even 5. But she's been running good for me, and she's been doing good. But you can get these really advanced high-end Razer blades with RTX 2070 Supers. I mean, they're basically, what is it, $200 cheaper at Best Buy. So keep an eye on those. I mean, this computer, let me talk about this. This is a Razer Blade 15 2060 RTX 2060 with 512 gigabytes of SSD, which you can upgrade, of course, 16 gigs of RAM, which was $17.99, and now it has been down to $450 to $1349.99, which is $450 cheaper. So I mean, it has been a massive sale on tech things right now. So if you really want to get something, get it right now. I mean, a lot of these gaming laptops have been on major sales. And honestly, if I were to buy something right now, if I wasn't as patient as I am right now, I would have bought these gaming laptops instead of what I'm doing, which is scrambling parts to make a PC computer, which in my opinion is a better choice. But it's really up to what you want to do, and it's really up to who you are and how you want to plan out these things. So, but I strongly suggest, instead of getting these laptops, which are getting cheap lately, I mean, our Asus RGs have been down $200-$300, and that's great, but I strongly suggest keep an eye on those Newegg parts. I mean, Newegg's been on sale lately greatly. But if I look up, so I'm building a Ryzen computer, so I'm aiming for a Ryzen 7 3600. Is it 3600? 3700X, which is the CPU, and it's $40 cheaper. So that's something that I can get it. Usually 3700 are actually. Let me look closer. 3700 is actually not on sale. 3800 is on sale, and it's been sold out everywhere. Ryzen 7 5800Xs were fourth gen what's it called, CPUs, and they've been sold out pretty much everywhere. They're for $400. I mean, it's gotten to the point where even CPUs are getting sold out. So if you find the CPU that you're looking for, I suggest just get it, because they've been really in high demand lately. I mean, it's tough to find the parts you want to find, and it's really, you'll get lucky if you find the part that you need. What else? Let's look up for the RAM that I want to buy. So I want to buy an HyperX DDR4 32 gigabyte. I think they're called Fury RAM chips. So let's look at these. They're in sale for $20. They've been sold out. These babies have been sold out. Actually, the ones that I want to buy are still in stock right now, which I won't buy. Trust me, I want to wait as far as I can for till these things are on sale. And summer sales are usually the places when these techie items get really cheaper. So I've been waiting for that summer sale for a long time, and I've been saving that money. It's not as much as I should be, but I still am. So that's been news on gaming deals. I mean, getting these new gen tech items has been really hard. And if you're lucky enough to get some of it, I mean, you getting really lucky, because lately it's just been it's just been constant scalper talk and constant news about how here's a review for an item you can't get, or here's a review for things you won't be able to buy. And what I really hope in the future is that these high billion-dollar tech companies have these queues. So basically, in my mind, a perfect buy situation would be to have these long queues for purchases. So let's just say if you want to purchase that item and it's been released, you purchase the said item and you put it in a queue and a list of people who wants to purchase this item too. And basically you give it a number, like at a deli, when you wait in the line with a number, and when the company has basically pulled your number, when the company's at your number, they will charge you. And if your banking information isn't there, they'll contact you for a charge, and they'll ship you the item that you think you're buying. Basically, gives you item to think about if you want to really buy that item or not, or if you just want to right away purchase it. And it just gives you a better sense of how these companies should deal with it, instead of these bots who just instantly buy the item and get shipped, and then shipping it runs out, and you have to deal with these horrible fighting wars where you'll have to fight with thousands of other people on Best Buy to purchase a set item so you can pick it up at a store. It's just horrendous. I mean, it's really horrendous. So I suggest, I'm hoping that's what happens in the future. Purchase queues are great. Purchase queues are awesome, and which is what I think. I forget what company has been doing that, but one of the companies, I think it's PSI. PSI, it's 30 series GPU program. I'm looking it up live on program. while we actually do this on podcast, because I clearly didn't think where this thing will go. I don't think I'll be. It's EVGA. EVGA is doing a program where if you, I think it's EVGA. I could be really wrong. Anywho, one of the companies is doing a program where basically what you can do is you can trade in your graphics card for one of the new Gen 3060 graphics cards, and you can sign up for the program. I think it's over at this point, but you would be able to sign up for the program, and basically you basically get signed up in a queue of people who send their graphics cards in, and then you pay the set amount extra price. Your graphics card gets reviewed, and then they decide how much extra you pay for the graphics card, the newer ones, and they send you the newer graphics cards. So it's a trade-in system. Since I don't have one old graphics card, I deal with I'm just building a completely brand new system. I'll have to wait till they get in stock, and I wasn't as lucky enough to get signed up into the program. I mean, if you are, that's fantastic for you, and it's great. If you haven't done it, and if you want to do it, I think the luck has run out. But if you're still looking for it, I suggest check on Reddit, check on Google up a different website to see what company has been doing it, because I forgot which company is really doing the program, and maybe you're lucky enough to get into the set program that's been happening. That's just the dealio that's been going about lately. Oh man, what a whole debacle of these 30 series Gen Tech stuff, you know what I mean? New generation technology is just, people would beg for these days, but it's like if Christmas was heaven, you know what I mean? If you were to get one of these, especially on Christmas, or just get it in general, then heaven has come closer to where you want, like, to a life, because these are luxury items these days. It's like getting a Lamborghini or Bugatti, you know? It's just that kind of luxury to have a 30 series graphics card. It's nuts. And considering that my friend runs a dual 3090 RTX rig, I mean, he's a madman. He's a madman. No, he works with a computer testing company. They basically tests games to their limit, and I won't talk about my friend too much, but his computer is a beast. I mean, he is a 128 gigabyte RAM computer with his custom liquid cooling with two 3090s. I mean, it's just a fantastic setup. It's just great, and I basically get jealous every time I look at that thing. I just cry internally every time I look at that thing. It just makes me forget about all my problems. Get some of this coffee. You know what has happened? So this is the main reason I'm going to stop drinking this coffee, is because I think what happened is, while I was making the coffee, the filter tore and is basically dropped a lot of coffee beans through the filter. Yeah. So I'm gonna not drink this last bit of coffee. I'll take a little bit of sip when we end this episode, just a final one. But a lot of coffee grounds is made through the filter, because I think there was a hole in it. And so hopefully next time I can learn from this and put two filters when I make coffee. All right, let's talk about the final thing before we wrap up, which is Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo teamed up to promote a safer gaming for their platforms. This has been fantastic news. I am all for it. I know the toxicity that gaming platforms have come across, and the toxic people that are around just to offend everyone else. So this has been a great news for me. It's fantastic. So they're basically using a three-prong system where first the try rule approach, where the rule one is to basically educate the parents, educate the children about what safer gaming is, all the tools to use to make the gaming system better, like there's these child locks on all these gaming accounts where a parent can say, basically, these are R-rated games. My son has bought it, but I don't want him to play it, and I want to control what he buys and what not. So all these rules are going to be enforced on gaming accounts, and basically they want to educate parents to put these restrictions on the children accounts if they're too young to play Call of Duty or Doom or whatnot, these really brutal, gory games. And basically educate the parents on these protocols that I think that has been left out. But I think in these newer generation of parents, I think when I become a parent, which I don't think it will be too long because I am already 20. give me like 10 more years and I'll have a kid. But Jesus. But I think that this new generation of parents are going to be more well known about these newer sense of safety rules and stuff like that. And I don't know. I'm friends with a lot of gamers, and I've been in a gaming community, so maybe my views are a little restricted towards how people view and what people know about gaming and whatnot. But I'm hoping that people know more about how to deal with how to basically know more about gaming protocols and rules and how they can better enforce and take care of their limit what their kid sees. But okay, rule 2. They are basically partnering up with gamers, which is basically gaming communities, but it's Twitter, whatnot, law enforcement and industry regulators to basically control what and how toxic the platform has become and how actions can be taken to better deal with these sort of things. I mean, there's been a lot of when I was a young player, there were a lot of times when people used to make threats and stuff like that against a lot of other gamers, and what these kids don't know is that these threats are technically, really threats, and the other gamer can really act up on them if they really wanted to, and bring in law enforcement. So hopefully in the future kids really learn about making these kind of threats where it's like, you cheater, I'm gonna kill you and stuff like that, just toxic talk, stuff like that. So I hope that kids better learn about not to do these kind of things, because if a kid really gets threatened by something to that such jokey manner, then they can really act upon it and bring in proper law enforcement, and which I think it's they're well deserved if you make these kind of jokey threats. So anywho, they're doing that. And then the third kind of rule is giving players a set of rules that are strict and proper, and giving gamer players all the proper tools to report unsafe activity, which my mind is great thing, because I think a lot of times these communities or these platforms don't get enough attention to these rules that are strict, and these people who are kind of making the platform toxic and just making it unsafe for children of all ages. Trust me, if you had seen some of the names I've seen while growing up and playing these games, a lot of people will be offended, and a lot of people will just be crying in their minds just thinking about the amount of things that people said to me while I'd be playing these games. So I think this is a right step towards gaming community. I think it's going to limit a lot of what a lot of people can do, which I see how they can really upset people. But in my mind, I think it's just going to make it better for younger generation to better relate to their ages and better play with their community, instead of kind of deal just up in being in these toxic environments and dealing with these toxic people in a non I'm just losing what I'm trying to say. Here's what I'm trying to say. When you were a kid, right, you didn't really know how to deal with toxic people. At worst, you kind of just brush them off, or it really made you upset enough to make you stop playing a game and make you start crying. Stuff like that, And I think what they're trying to do is to make a platform safe enough so there's not a lot of that for people to feel sorry, and people to feel guilt, and people to feel unease and uncomfortment, and basically play the games they want to play safely and soundly in an enjoyable manner, which is what I'm trying to say. I just rambled on in gibberish of words, but I hope my message came out through. Well, that's it. That's all I had to cover for this week. I mean, that was some amazing topics, and I think I rambled a little too long about Last of Us, but it is a game that needs to be talked a lot about. Hopefully Thursday I have more of things to talk about and more dramas to cover and more gaming news I'll bring up, but I think we'll be talking more about what Nick has to offer to the show, and I'll basically have him run the show a little bit. But thank you for listening. If you're here with me, thank you. If you made it to the end of the episode, well done. It's fantastic. My throat is hurting a little bit, and my coffee left. My cold coffee is now some coffee grounds. So let's take this final sip wherever you are. You're in bed, it's morning, or on the way to your job. If you're just woken up, if you're watching this on a different day the episodes come out, doesn't matter. If you have a beverage nearby you're drinking, and let's take a sip. And if you don't have a beverage, don't worry. You can join in whenever you can. Right? Disgusting noise, but there you go. That's the final sip to end the show. Thank you everyone for joining me for this beautiful episode. I hope we covered a lot of gaming news and a lot of grounds that hopefully helps you all. And I hope none of you buy from scalpers, because all we want to do in this gaming community is just to get rid of them and hope in the future there's no scalpers that do this kind of things. Just platforms or these billionaire companies are a little more well prepared to deal with bots and stuff like that. I hope. All I can do is hope. Alright everyone, thank you so much for listening. This has been Drew doing a solo podcast. And remember, if you really like what we do and really like listening to us, hit that follow button on Spotify. Just hit it. It's a little tap. It's a little click button. Follow us. It makes a difference to us, and it lets us know if you really like our podcast, and it lets us know what you like to listen and whatnot. So please, if you hit follow us, we promise you we're going to bring you more juicy content. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you have a good day, good night, wherever you are. And peace off. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.